Hello, I am Isidoros Parlamas and I welcome you to the Dialectics of Grammar. That's right, the Dialectics of Grammar. Well, I decided to do a video on the Dialectics of Grammar because as an English student and English teacher, I know that the most difficult part of learning English is the correct use of the tenses. And if we open a grammar book and start reading about the use of the present perfect simple and the present perfect continuous, for example, we are faced with the task of absorbing about 20 pages of examples, exceptions, notes to the exceptions, and that's really difficult to apply because in the moment of truth, when the chips are down on the table, we end up making the wrong choice because it's so many things to remember. And this approach, this piecemeal approach, does not appeal to me. It's ineffective. It's really simplistic. So I was thinking to myself, if I could come up with a new methodology, a simple one, not a simplistic one, but a simple one, if I could think of a concept on which I could build a new methodology, which would be simple, short, simple, and crystal clear. As I was analyzing the use of the tenses and the structure of the criteria, it occurred to me, could it be that the words that make up the name of a concept be the best guide to the correct use of them? For example, we say present perfect continuous. Could it be that if we understand in depth the meaning of present perfect and continuous, then we can use those meanings to know exactly when we should use this tense? And I tried this approach and it worked. So from 20 pages of theory, I was back to 3 lines. Yes, 3 lines. Short, simple, crystal clear. Everything has to do with the context. As we all understand, first we must interpret the context and then choose the correct tense. But what is context? Context is the environment of communication, the setting, the feelings. And usually in a context, we discuss a fact, an event, an incident, an act, an action, a development, the state of things. We discuss any of those things, any combination of those things. And of course, it's tiring and tedious to refer to all those things every time we want to talk about context. So from now on, when I say context, I mean all those things, any combination of those things. Let's then define the terms that make up the name of the present perfect simple and the present perfect continuous. First of all, present. What is present in the grammar sense? Of course, I'm not going to define present in its generic sense, but in the grammar sense. A context is present when there is a connection to the present. Obviously, if there is no connection to the present in a context, then we should use either past or future tenses. We use present tenses when there is a connection to the present, obviously. So that's what present means. We need to be able to discern a connection to the present in that context, and then we say the context is present. All right, what about perfect? Perfect in the grammar sense means completed, either wholly or partially. And if we can see that the context is completed, then we say the context is perfect. As I said, it doesn't have to be completed 100%. It can be partially completed. Now, continuous must be an ongoing context. What is ongoing? Something has started but has not finished. So if we see that the context is ongoing, we use continuous. If not, we use simple. So let's take a look at an example. I'm at a party and I meet someone who enjoys traveling as I do, and I ask that person, have you ever visited Colombia? And then in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, have I used the right tense? And then I say to myself, well, let's see, is this context a present context? Well, my friend, from the beginning of your life until now, to the best of your knowledge, have you ever visited Colombia? So that's my question. What is this question seeking? It seeks information on experience. I want to know if you have had this experience. But if you have visited Colombia, that was in the past. Maybe there was no connection to the present. But aren't we what we have done or what we have not done? What we have learned or what we have not learned? What we have been taught or what we have not been taught? That's who we are. And even a visit to Colombia is a tiny part of who we are. It's still a part of who we are. It has shaped us because it's an experience. And that's why the present perfect tenses are a bridge between the past and the present. The root of the context is in the past, but its consequences reach somehow the present. That's the essence of the present perfect tenses. Not only in English, also in most European languages, like in Greek, Spanish, French, etc. So yes, there is a connection to the present, because I want to know if you have visited so far until now Colombia, and this is the connection. And this is enough. And I say that yes, this context is present. Now, what about perfect? Is it a perfect context? Obviously, because if that person has visited Colombia, then it's completed. If not, it's completed in the negative sense. Is it an ongoing concept? No, it's not. Because if the person has visited Colombia, that was in the past. So we have to use a simple tense. Have you ever visited Colombia? So yes, my choice of tense was correct. Now let's talk about another example with the present perfect continuous. I'm visiting a friend and I notice his hands are full of grease. So I ask him, what have you been doing? Your hands are full of grease. Well, is this the right choice? Is the context present? Obviously, because the grease is still on his hands. At the very least, he was at something, he has been doing something, and at the very least, he has just finished. It is a very recent thing, so there is a connection to the present. This is a present context. Is it perfect? Well, at least part of what he's been at has been completed. For example, if he has been working on his car for half an hour and he needs another hour, well, he has completed part of the job. So the concept of perfect is there. The context is perfect. Is it an ongoing context? Yes, it is. It is very recent. He is either still at it or he has just finished. What have you been doing? Well, my friend could answer, well, I've been working on my car for a couple of hours and I'm taking a break. Let's sit down and have a beer, because I haven't fixed the problem yet. In that sense, the perfect element of the context is partial. Or he could say, I've been working on my car for a couple of hours. I have finally fixed the problem. Let me wash my hands and sit down and have a beer. And in that case, the perfect element of the context is 100%. So that's it. We have introduced a new concept and then we have examined examples. The new concept is that the words that make up the name of the tense are the best guides to deciding when to use that tense. And it works. And that's why dialectics is powerful. Dialectics was introduced by Socrates. I want you to know that dialectics is a very useful, a very powerful tool in whatever you do. And unfortunately, virtually nobody knows about this. So I'm trying to spread the word that dialectics is the tool to live one's life. It can solve all kinds of problems: personal, business, scientific, health problems. Of course, being a dialectician does not make you a doctor, but you still have to make the right choice. You still have to have a clear mind and know what's best for you. So dialectics is improbably useful, and actually it's figuring out a way to think clearly. And it is defined as the art of asking the right questions and providing the right answers with an eye to uncovering the truth. And we all know asking and answering questions is at the heart of acquiring knowledge. We need to know how to do that. We have to do it in an opposite way. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. I'll see you next time. Thank you very much.